This is 40K Today. 40K news so huge that Asdrubial Vect once tried to catch it in a Drukhari raider and said, I think we're going to need a bigger boat. Hi there, 40K friends, and welcome to 40K Today. This is a big show today, a big show. This is your daily 15-minute news and interviews show that covers the whole hobby of Warhammer 40,000. I'm your host, Steve Joel, and today on the program, we're going to meet an Australian woman in Warhammer, one of the people behind Objective Secured, the premier tabletop gaming event organisers in Western Australia. But before we speak to Emma, we're about to make a huge announcement in association with the team at Art of War. This is big. And I don't want to spoil anything, so we're just going to leave it to John Damaris and Nick Nanavati to tell us what's happening in about 30 seconds. First up on the show, though, I wanted to remind you about our 40K Today poll question for the week. It's live on our Facebook page right now, and it's this. Is proxying models acceptable in games of 40K? We want to know about your experiences. I've got to say, I'm surprised. A massive 3/4 of people so far say, yeah, proxying is fine. There are some qualifications in the comments, though. Anthony, for example, says, for any actual event, not even a little bit. For friendly games, if mentioned beforehand, sure. William makes a great point as well. It would not be cool to wait until you actually take your units out to ask if you can proxy 3 units. We've already set our social contract, and I have a strong incentive to go along with the new request, even if I don't want to. It feels like bait and switch. And there's been a lot of response there to William's comment as well. So we'd love to know what you think in the poll. Just check it out on our Facebook page. There's a link in the show notes. Go vote and then say whatever you need to say as part of that as well. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, it's announcement time. We've got something big brewing, and it kicks off today, like right now. John Damaris and Nick Nanavati from the Art of War got together to let us know what's going on.
All right, Nick, we have some huge news, and I got to be careful because I don't have my pop filter on my mic, and I get too excited and wound up about this, but we have a massive contest, probably the biggest contest in 40K history, right, going on with a ton of prizes. Why don't you tell people a little bit about it?
Yeah, we are crazy, and we decided to run the largest 40K prize contest giveaway in the history of Warhammer. So what we've done is we got over $5,000 of prize support from various different sponsors, ranging from little trinkets like objective mats from 3D6 Wargaming to Army Painter's entire mega paint set, their entire paint line, and everything in between. We have sponsors like Frontline Gaming, Army Painter, Art of War, and so many more. So you can check all that out in the link below, and all you have to do to enter is just give us your email address so we can notify you that you won. Of course, there's lots of other ways to get more and more entries. You can interact with us and our sponsors on our social media pages, liking us on Facebook, following us on Twitter, clicking subscribe onto YouTube. All that kind of stuff gets you more and more entries. It's almost infinite how many entries you can get just based on your interaction with all of us. So do that and just win free stuff. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, and I mean, you can engage with it as much as you want. So like the whole point of this is we got some really, really cool people to pony up some really, really, really cool prizes. And what I told them specifically was, hey, look, the community is great. You know how great the community is. We need something positive to focus on. And so they stepped up to the plate. And I think the best way we can thank them is just by, doing something simple like liking one of their Facebook pages, which you get an entry in the contest for anyway. And so, yeah, just engage with it as much as you like. Keep it really simple. Another thing I'd like to point out that I think is super cool about this contest is that there's no purchase necessary to win. All you have to do is give us your email address, and then we'll notify you, and everything gets shipped to your door. So there's no shipping costs that are going to surprise you. If you look at our terms of service, we are not selling your email address to anybody. So you're not going to get like fertility pills or anything like that sold to you through us. We are making your emails available to the sponsors because, I mean, that's part of the pitch. So if you guys want to participate, it's $5,000 worth of prizes. It's really simple to enter. And, we've got some ways that we want to thank people that have supported Nick and I. So for example, if you're a patron of ours on the Art of War, you automatically get 5 entries into the contest. You just have to give us your patron ID so we can verify that you're there. If you are a subscriber on Twitch to the Art of War, you also get a free 5 entries. right? So anybody that supported us, you're going to get entered in this contest. It's a way for Nick and I to say thank you, because we are very thankful for the support that you guys give us. And Nick, did you want to just pile onto that a little bit?
Oh yeah, as a kind of a bigger thank you for you guys, we are just running a promotional thing. All of our sponsors are. We are as Art of War. We're doing 20% off for any War Room purchases for the next 2 weeks while this contest is durationing. All the different sponsors are giving you discounts on their products and services. So just support. This is a great time to kind of invest in your hobby and win some free stuff while you're at it. So jump on the
Yeah, I
hype
guess
train.
I'll pile on that a little bit. A lot of these sponsors have really stepped up and added a really cool discount code to go along with it. So even if you don't win one of the prizes, when you sign up with the email, the discount codes will be mailed to you, and you can use them for pretty big savings. So, for example, Frontline Gaming, which sells our plastic crack, is got a code in there where you can get an additional 10% off, which that's on top of their already low prices. So that's something for you guys if you've been waiting to buy something or want an excuse to buy something, or this is the time to pull the trigger. Come sign up for the contest, get those discount codes. Army Painter, everybody else, they're gonna make it easy on you guys. So, and that's it. Like, there's gonna be a really
There's
cool video
no
on the
strings
front of.
attached here, guys. We are literally just throwing you free stuff.
Yeah, free stuff. That's pretty much it. And who doesn't like free stuff? I like free stuff.
That's Nick Nanavati from artofwar40k.com with 40k today's John Damaris. You just have to be in to win. So to enter, go to 40kprizes.com. The link is in our show notes. There's more information on our Facebook page, 40kprizes.com, to enter. And as they've already mentioned, there are lots of ways to get more entries and more chances to win. Next up on the program, this week's Woman in Warhammer is Emma from the Aussie event organising powerhouse Objective Secured.
Today's episode of 40K Today is brought to you by Frontline Gaming. Frontline Gaming is a one-stop shop for all your Warhammer hobby needs, discounted products, American-made gaming mats and terrain, and a full line of miniatures painting service and daily hobby content. And this can all be found at frontlinegaming.org.
Welcome back. Objective Secured is a website, a podcast, a merchandise store, a community hub for gamers, especially those in Australia, and they are the self-described premier tabletop gaming event organisers in Western Australia. If it's tabletop gaming and it's in Aussie, then they're on top of it. Well, you might not know about Western Australia, that it's a long, long way away from the rest of Australia and the rest of the world. So John Damaris caught up with Emma from Objective Secured to find out what goes in to organising massive events and how they're coping with the problem of a certain global pandemic.
All right, Emma, let's talk about how you got involved in Warhammer 40,000. So what got you started, do you think?
So it's a bit interesting because it's actually my husband's hobby, and he was very against me actually having anything to do with Warhammer at all. It was his thing, and he wanted his thing, and he wanted us to have something that was, I guess, separate from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then going back 5 years ago, the event scene here in Western Australia had dried up. That would be a polite way to put it. And so we weren't seeing many events, and the events that we had were really quite small. And there was a group of men sitting under my patio in the back garden, whinging about the fact that there weren't many events happening here. And at the time, there were tournaments, not events. We've kind of talked about the language change for that as well. But so there weren't many tournaments happening here in Western Australia. And so, being the kind of person that I am, I said, well, put your money where your mouth is. You want events, start running some. And so that was sort of laughed at, and that
Yeah,
same
just
response
that
of,
simple, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so from there, it was kind of well, where do we start with that? And then, 5 years later, it's sort of a huge part of my life, and we're running events once a month at least, including probably one of at least WA's biggest tabletop gaming convention that we ran for 3 years, and this year obviously isn't happening.
Right. So very cool. So let's talk about that for a second. So you're
Mm.
part of Objective Secured. Do you want to tell the listeners what that's all about?
Sure. So Objective Secured, we focus primarily on Warhammer 40K. And yes, so we started out as we've got a podcast, and then there's a blog that doesn't get updated anywhere near as often as it should. And we also run events. So majority of our events are actually 40K based. And we run games that are, well, events that are everything from kind of friendly, fluffy intro type events all the way through to really quite competitive events. And we run it's WATC, West Australian Team Challenge, and we had 120 players come for that with teams of 6. Last year was 2-day event, and then we've also run Southern Hemisphere Open, where we had 3 days, 4,000 people through, 16 different tabletop games, 20 different events, workshops, panels, all sorts of different things. So
So
that's,
so
in
it's
a
one of those
nutshell, that's
things
what we
that
do.
it just literally just started with, well, we should run events, and it turned into really running events, right? Like
Yeah.
you guys have had pretty exponential growth, it sounds like. Well, that's very cool. It means that your events are run well, they're well received, and because events grow by word of mouth, right? That's what happens. So
Yeah, and I think for me that was probably the most important thing, was that I wanted to make sure that we put on professional events. So they needed to be well run, they needed to be well organized. People needed to know that they were coming to an event that was going to deliver. I believe that the events that we run, when people come, it's an experience. So, we have players packs that I do expect players to read, but often I am left wanting on that one. But we have a really comprehensive players pack, so people know what they're coming to. There's a time schedule that we generally stick to within 15 minutes with, things happen, but we run a really tight ship, and we do that so that people know that they're coming into a well-run event.
yeah, so you're a
So
professional, right?
yeah,
Is that a
that's
good way
it.
to put it? Maybe, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Mm.
fantastic. So, what was I gonna? Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I had a question and I lost it.
Sorry, I
It's
put
late.
you off.
No, no, it's great. It's great. I think number one, that's amazing. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to say that not all heroes wear capes, but apparently some of them get medals from Games Workshop. You want to talk about that being a 2019 actual legitimate Warhammer hero? I mean, that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, my husband Mike and I, we run Objective Secured, and we were nominated for the 2018 awards, and then we were nominated again for 2019, and we were actually lucky enough to be recipients for that. So, and Games Workshop, because we are all the way over in Australia, they did run an awards night just for the two of us over in Brisbane. So we're in Western Australia, and Brisbane's on the other side of the country. So we flew over to Brisbane to receive our award last year. So it's really lovely to be nominated and to be acknowledged by Games Workshop for the work that we've done to build the community here in Western Australia.
Well, I mean, that's fantastic. That's just amazing. So the last question I want to ask you is,
Mhm,
we're recording this for our Women in Warhammer segment.
mhm.
How have you seen sort of the inclusion of women in the hobby? Has that grown and gotten better in the years that you've been running events? Because I'd like to hear your perspective, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting in that there's a lot of women who play, and there's a lot of women who are interested in the hobby. But I think that there's something about events that makes them feel uncomfortable about coming to them. And that's been really interesting to try and break down some of those preconceived ideas. So we're doing things at the moment, like we host our Warhammer Widow High Teas, which is to try and get women to come along to events, not necessarily to play in them, but to actually just be used to coming into the room and to be used to being in that environment. And we've run things like our mixed double events, which is we're trying to provide ways to sort of a soft entry point for women coming in. I think it's quite daunting. And, I run the events, but for me, walking into that room, the very first event that we ran, so our first event, we had 66 players and there were 2 women in the room. And
Right.
that's really, when you've got 120 players and there are 3 women in the room, it's really daunting. So we're offering things like the mixed doubles events, which is to try and make it so that women have got support coming in and they don't feel like the only woman in the room. But I think one of the good
Yeah.
things about having a TO that's female is there is gonna be at least one other woman there. So I
Very
think that
cool.
that does help a little bit. Yeah.
Obviously, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, I think what you're doing is great, and just let me take a moment to thank you for what you do for the community, because I think it's important that we recognize when people are going out of their way to make it better for the people around them, and I think that's pretty amazing.
Anytime.
That is Emma from Objective Secured speaking with John Damaris. The links to their website and Facebook are in our show notes. They do so much that there will absolutely be something in there for you. Okay, it is time for us to sing a little song.
It's the model of the day, the model of the day, the model of the day.
I got to say, yesterday after we did Model of the Day, I spent the whole day singing that song. Going to pick up the kids, singing the song, just doing stuff around the house, singing the song. Before we go, our Model of the Day is an amazing Space Wolves Intercessor Squad by Instagrammer and YouTuber Raddicraft. His custom work here is so great on these models. It's subtle. He's added beards made of green stuff and rune markings and done some incredible conversion work. And the painting is perfect too. The new Ragnar is part of the squad, but the real genius is in all of the details that are so well done and so perfect, you don't really even notice them straight away. Check out his work on our Instagram and on our Facebook. We've linked to pictures in our show notes as well. By the way, if you want to learn how he does the beards, wow. If you want to learn how he does it, he's done an instructional video on YouTube. We've linked to that in our show notes as well. And if you have a model that should feature on the show, or maybe you've got a friend with a model, or you've seen a model on Facebook or Instagram, and you think it deserves a spot in Model of the Day, let us know. And that's it for today. Thanks again for joining us. Big thank you to our content producer, Alex Bainter, our social media guru, Tanya Gates, and our technical producer, Seamus Ronan, for all of their work in getting this show together again. Thanks for Nick Nanavati for coming on and helping us launch the mega 40K giveaway competition. Don't forget to go enter. It's super easy to get into this at 40kprizes.com. And there's so much great stuff to be won. Make sure you join us tomorrow on the show as well, when the amazing Ennis Wilson gives us his take on how to get the most out of your Dark Angels. That's our faction focus. We'll see you tomorrow. Till then, for the whole 40K Today team, I'm Steve Joel, and that's what's happening in 40K Today.